What's up, guys? Crypto Muser here with your daily news and analysis in the crypto markets. Now, this was a big news coming out in Cointelegraph. It's actually all over Twitter, but Cointelegraph actually covered it. President Biden announces former Ripple advisor as pick for Fed Vice Chair for supervision. Now, just another connection with either the Federal Reserve, the BIS, the IMF, and Ripple. They're just people on the board of Ripple that are past employees at the Treasury Department, at the SEC, the CFTC, and other major corporations. You gotta look at these things for what they are. I mean, Ripple has some serious connections in the business, right? And as much as people want to say it's the banker's coin and all this garbage, you want to go where the money's going to be, right? I mean, we're all at the end of this. We're all trying to make money. And even the people, the Bitcoin maxes out there, they're saying it's all about the technology. It's all about, the movement. I mean, they're lying to you and they're lying to themselves. It's about the money. And at the end of the day, you're trying to make money off of this, right? You're trying to find financial freedom for you and yourself and your family, right? You're trying to eat. That's the whole point of this. And if you're just in this for, you can be in this for the technology and for the movement. But at the end of the day, you got to pay the bills, right? You got to keep the lights on. You got to feed your family. So if you don't see the connections that Ripple has with these huge institutions out there and what they're trying to do in changing the world, then I don't know what to tell you. This is why I'm so bullish on XRP. It's why I'm so bullish on Ripple, because I keep seeing these connections and you just can't look past this anymore. So before I get into the video, guys, if you guys could please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below, it will be very much appreciated. Let's get into it. So CNBC International had this interview with Brad Garlinghouse. I think he was in a conference in Paris here. But the reason why I want to show you guys this interview real quick is because when I invest money into a project or a coin, I also like to invest in the people behind it, right? When you're investing in Ethereum, you like Vitalik Buterin, right? When you invest in Bitcoin, obviously there's no really people behind Bitcoin, but you're investing in, Satoshi Nakamoto's white paper and what he's, what initially was trying to do, the movement there. When you're investing in XRP, you're obviously investing in the technology and what Ripple's trying to do with XRP. But you also have Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO there, right? You have the CTO, David Schwartz, the genius that he is. When you hear these people talk, you hear the confidence behind their words, and it really gives you some confidence in your investment, right? Same thing if you're investing in stocks. You're investing in Tesla and you hear Elon Musk, right? That gives you some reassurance in your investment when you hear Elon so passionate about what he does, right? And you hear the same thing here with Brad Garlinghouse, with Ripple, and I'm going to show you David Schwartz in a little bit. Just when you hear these people talk, it really reassures your investment, right? And I just want to show you, listen to the confidence behind this guy. Listen, even with this, the SEC lawsuit and everything going on, they are pushing forward. They're growing their business, and they are, like I said in past videos, they are, becoming or going to become one of the biggest companies in the world. So it's about 4 minutes long, so bear with me, but let's listen up.
Uses the XRP token in our tech stack. We use it to enable that cross-border, extremely fast and extremely reliable transaction. So we use XRP because of its attributes that make it fast and inexpensive. There are other tokens that people use for other use cases that don't work as well for payments. The XRP ledger, from its origins, has really enabled payments at scale in a way that certainly Bitcoin, while it's very good for digital gold, its speed and cost per transaction makes it less attractive for a payments type use case. So Ripple will continue to use XRP because of its core attributes as a really efficient technology.
Is that something you see continuing in your tech stack going forward?
For sure, without question. And I think you'll see Ripple use the XRP ledger for other use cases as well. We're certainly making investments, as I mentioned, in the carbon credit marketplace and other verticals that we think could be compelling.
We've seen a lot of market volatility, of course, in the public equity markets. We've seen that filter through to the crypto markets as well. What's your outlook for the rest of the year? Do you expect sort of crypto markets to push higher and that volatility reduce, or are you expecting just this continued sort of seesawing we're seeing?
I think it's really hard to know the timing, but I'm incredibly bullish on crypto overall. And frankly, that's because of the macro factors. There's two that I'll highlight. The macro factor around inflation globally. You saw this past week record inflation, for I think 4 decades, inflation in the United States at 8.5%. The other factor I think is really important not to lose sight of is, as you and I have talked about, the move from crypto overall towards an institutional use case, solving real problems for real customers, and these scaled solutions that aren't just about the speculative activity that has really driven some of the historic crypto market activity.
Brad, I want to sort of move on and talk about regulation, which has been a huge topic yesterday, and it will continue today as well. You're currently in a legal battle with an SEC that's been going on for a year or so. Can you give us an update on that and when you expect a resolution?
You know, that started in December 2020, and the core question there is around a nuanced legal question. Is XRP a security? And did Ripple sell, as an XRP, an investment contract, did Ripple sell unregistered securities? Did I, Brad Garlinghouse, sell XRP as an unregistered security? I think it's very clear that in the United States, the laws have not been clear. And for the SEC then to go back in time and say, you should have known all along, it's really, I think, going to be hard. It's a hard case. And I think what we're seeing in the court process, which does continue to play out, is a judicial process that recognizes some of this. Even this past couple days, there was a ruling from the court finally requiring the SEC to publish information about some speeches that the director of corporate finance, Hinman, gave about Ether not being a security. And the fact that even now you have the SEC not able to answer the question, is Ether a security? They won't answer that question. They're saying there's clarity, but then they won't provide clarity. They're saying they won't comment on specific projects, but then they comment on Bitcoin. Bitcoin is one of the largest projects, but yet still just a project.
Just in terms of broader crypto market regulation, we had, of course, the executive order from President Joe Biden. At the time, there's a lot of criticism. Well, this doesn't sort of go far enough. It's not laying out specifics. What's your view on it? Did you think it was significant for the market?
I think it was very significant. I think it's very positive. Frankly, the leadership we've seen outside of the United States in crypto regulation is way ahead of where it has been in the U.S. It's something we've been saying for years. And I think at the core of the executive order from the Biden administration is acknowledging that exact point, that the competitiveness of U.S. in these developing markets around crypto, around blockchain technologies, has fallen behind, and more investment and more talent is going outside the United States. When entrepreneurs here in Paris talk to me about starting companies in the crypto space, one of the first things I'll recommend to them is you shouldn't start the company in the United States because there isn't that clarity. And so a lot of the hiring, even for Ripple, we'll hire over 300 people this year. Well over half of those I expect to be non-US based.
Wow, they're going to hire 300 people this year.
Digital currency.
That's pretty huge, right? So the two big things I'll take out of that interview is, first, at the end there, when he's talking about the way the SEC has been regulating by enforcement has really been killing innovation in this country, right? Driving companies to start elsewhere, right? They're starting their companies in Switzerland and Japan and different other countries around the world that have more clarity behind digital assets. Because why do you want to start a company? Put Library as an example. Library is a small company. They wanted to make a basically decentralized YouTube. They tried to do it the right way, or like everybody else was doing. And, there was no clarity or no rules on how they should be doing things, right? So they went about, started their business, spent money, spent hours of time and work into what they were doing. And then the SEC just comes down and says, well, you should have known that you were doing something illegal this whole time. The same thing with Ripple. You let them go about business for eight and a half years, almost 9 years. Let investors all around the world, especially in the U.S., invest in this project, in this coin, and then come down 8.5 years later and say, you should have known that you were doing something illegal this whole time. You have to have clarity in the market so that these companies can actually know, how to go about doing things the right way. If you're not going to give them clarity, they're not going to innovate in this country. They will go elsewhere, and that is a very dangerous thing for the U.S. I mean, think about it. If this was the internet, right? And this is what the SEC and this is what the U.S. government was doing about the internet back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And they drove all these companies like Google and Microsoft and all these huge tech companies, and they drew them out of the country. We'd be sitting in a much different U.S. today, right? Obviously. So they really need to get this right. And the second thing in the interview was in the beginning when he talked about payments, right? When crypto first came out, it was all about maybe using it to replace the dollar for payments, right? That's what Satoshi Nakamoto's white paper was all about. It was about replacing the dollar for payments, basically, for peer-to-peer. Well, as the technology came came along over the years, it became clearer and clearer that Bitcoin was not good for payments, right? It takes, anywhere from an hour to 2 hours sometimes to go through transactions. It wasn't built for payments. And he said it's more like digital gold, right? It's more of a, that's what it is, right? When people say with Bitcoin, it's digital gold, right? It's a store of value, right? That's the thing you always hear Bitcoin maxis say. You don't see that this is good for payments, right? XRP is good for payment. It's fast, it's scalable, better for, it's better for the environment. I hate to keep using that, but it's true. These are things that is the reason why XRP is better for payments. And I want to get along to the next thing I want to talk about is the Lightning Network, right? Heard a lot of talk about the Lightning Network. Jack Mallers came out in the Bitcoin conference talking about how this was the XRP killer, right? Or he wasn't saying that, but everybody else was saying this is the XRP killer, and that the Lightning Network was going to take over what XRP and Ripple are trying to do. But if you really know what you're talking about, that was total nonsense, right? I think in a past video I talked about how it just doesn't make much sense, right? The Lightning Network, yes, is a great idea, but that's just the beginning of it, right? Yeah, using crypto for payments, that's all good and all, but you need to get people on board to do it, right? And you can't be having people wait for transactions, right? They have to be quick because of the volatility, and because if you're going to use Bitcoin and this Lightning Network for payment, right? If you go in the grocery store to buy something, you can't sit there at the ATM machine waiting for the transaction to process, right? How does that make it better than using your credit card? So that brings me to this. So this was I believe this was on CNBC. First, digital asset investor said, remember that time that kid, the founder of Strike, Jack Mallers, got on stage in Bitcoin Miami 2022 and made some announcement, and all of a sudden all the Bitcoin maxis were screaming about the death of XRP at Bitcoin's hands? I do. God bless them. And now listen to this quick thing that they had on CNBC, and then we'll talk. I have some other people that have had some thoughts about this as well.
Hey there, we are here in El Salvador. This is the first country to take the promise and the dream of Bitcoin and actually turn it into an official currency. These are the ATMs where people load up their phones and they can use Bitcoin to buy everyday things. But how does it work? Hey, we finally got our money 2.5 hours later, $199.01. Not sure where the 99 cents went, but...
First off, so he converted his currency into Bitcoin, took 2.5 hours. First strike right there, right? No pun intended, Strike is the name of the friggin' app. But first strike there. Takes 2.5 hours to convert your money into Bitcoin for the Lightning Network.
So, money's on our phone. They got special lines for people paying in Bitcoin. Okay, so we got our groceries, but not because we paid in Bitcoin. They said that their transaction had been canceled. It showed that it had gone through on our account, so we're down about $14. This is the second time we've tried to use Bitcoin with Strike wallet here in El Salvador, and we're 0 for 2.
Not a good thing, guys. If it... I mean, you guys had a chance there, Jack. You had a chance. You had coverage on CNBC. If this thing would have worked, you would have got coverage on CNBC. People would have been like, oh, wow, look at this. This works. Maybe I'll try to use it. But, for it not to work, this is basically what happens with Bitcoin. Transactions don't go through. They take time sometimes, right? And he got charged from his Strike app or Strike wallet, but it didn't go through on the ATM. So obviously there's some kinks there that need to go through. So I hate to say it, but not even close, guys. Bitcoin and the Lightning Network will not work for payments. I don't know where this even came. And it's funny too, because the Bitcoin maxis are all about, store value, digital gold. The last thing you want to do is spend your Bitcoin on a friggin' cup of coffee. You want to hold that, right, for the next 10, 15, 20 years to make money off of that store value, right? You don't want to spend your Bitcoin. First of all, it's not good for payments. Second of all, you don't want to use Bitcoin, right, to spend. It just makes no sense. Let's just put it that way. It makes no sense. But here, so Matt Hamilton even had something to say about this, which was funny. It took 2 hours, sometimes 8 hours to get our money through. We held up the line at the supermarket for 10 minutes trying to get this to work. We were even double charged. It really is a shame that didn't just go with a more tested, scalable, and reliable network like the XRP ledger. I mean, right? Bravo to that. But here's another thing about all this. When Jack Mallers came out in Bitcoin, in the Bitcoin conference, he talked about how we have this new idea that he acted like he was the first one to come up with this. Meanwhile, Ripple was been using XRP for 7.5 years in this way. They came up with the idea to use, or they didn't come up with the idea, but they started using it and they figured out how to use, a digital asset for payment, right? But that's not the easy part. That is the easy part. The hard part is getting it to scale, right? Getting it to for people to actually want to adopt it and use it, right? Now, listen to David Schwartz when he talks about, what Jack Mallers basically came up with and what Ripple has been doing for the last 7.5 years. And even Crypto Eddie says, David on the Lightning Network and Strike, they solved the easy part, not the sub-challenges. Everybody solved the easy part already. We had the easy part solved 7.5 years ago. It's not quite that simple. Just listen to the boss, David Schwartz, speak here.
I think the type of thinking that's reflected in what Jack Mallers said is the kind of thinking we had in the early days. Oh, we'll just sell software to banks and they'll use XRP for their payments and it'll all just work. And I think the past 10 years proved that it's not quite that simple. There are a lot of sort of sub-challenges that you have to get right. You need enterprise-level software. You need to solve the last mile. You need to package up the integration so that every customer doesn't have to figure out how to interoperate with every other customer. I think what he's saying is that they've solved the easy part, but everybody has solved the easy part already. We had the easy part solved, 7+ years ago. The hard part is managing the volatility of crypto assets. That's a hard part. The analogy that I think Ashish might have used this is like saying, GM can compete with Tesla because they can just buy batteries. Not really, right? Tesla had to figure out how to do everything right, and they're still struggling at the margins and the details of producing a quality product that their customers will love. And so it is not that simple. I think what they've realized is that the easy part is easy, and we realized that a long time ago. Regulatory is another big one. It takes years to get regulators comfortable. We've designed the way ODL is done, where the customers are not exposed to the crypto, and getting regulators comfortable and going to central banks. It's just, again, I would say he's discovered that the easy part is easy.
Right, and that's just the bottom line here. And the thing is about the way Ripple designed their software around using ODL, right? They're using XRP as that bridge currency, is that they use it so basically you're going in and out of XRP very quickly. So you're not, people say that, crypto is so volatile that why would you want to convert it into crypto for payments? You could send your crypto at one point and it would arrive at the other destination, and the volatility, it would be worth less or more when it got there, right? So it's more crazy. It's more volatile to use digital assets in that way. But what Ripple did, and its genius, is that, first of all, XRP is moved 3 to 5 seconds, right? So the volatility in 3 to 5 seconds is not much, right? It doesn't really affect the coin. It doesn't affect the transaction. So, with Bitcoin, yes, it could definitely be a problem, because if you send your Bitcoin, right, if you convert your money into Bitcoin and then you send Bitcoin to the destination and then it takes 2 hours to get there, what if Bitcoin dropped about 10% in that 2 hours? Then you have a problem there, right? The Bitcoin was worth more when it got sent, and now it's worth less. So you have a serious problem there. And that was the big thing with Ripple, and using XRP, a digital asset that is so fast that basically, it doesn't matter about the volatility because it literally is instant, right? So this is another thing that, Jack Mallers and Strike really are going to have an issue with scaling, right? And, power to him. He's trying to do, start a business for himself. But the bottom line, I'll keep saying this, is just Bitcoin is not good for payments. And as much as the Lightning Network, it can maybe work for peer-to-peer, for for merchants and stuff. Like, I'll still go back to, people don't want to spend their Bitcoin. Why would you do that, right? XRP with Ripple. I mean, this is a company that's been doing this for 7.5+ years, right? I mean, you're basically late to the game, Jack Mallers. I'm sorry to say. That's just the bottom line there. So the last thing I want to talk about here on the video is, let's get back to the SEC real quick. So this was an interview that Elon Musk gave out, basically, putting down the SEC. I mean, he said, we know how how Elon feels about the SEC. He said it time and time again. He has no respect for the SEC, but basically put him on blast here and gave him the people the full on inside scoop here of how the SEC treated him and how the banks basically, because we always talk about here on this channel how basically the banks run the SEC, and this is just proof of their corruption here. And this is Ripple Eye. He tweeted this out. Elon Musk lays the smackdown on the SEC San Fran office. Imagine how infested this place must be. Imagine how infested that place must be. 100% rat-filled. SEC San Francisco put a proverbial gun to his head and made him choose. They are relentless and versus new tech for the legacy slacker tech. So we'll just hear this quick. It's like a quick minute snippet here.
Actually secured. I want to be clear about that. In fact, this may be a good opportunity to clarify that. If funding was indeed secured, and I should say, like, why do I not have respect for the SEC in that situation? And I don't mean to blame everyone at the SEC, but certainly the San Francisco office. It's because the SEC knew that funding was secured, but they pursued an active public investigation nonetheless. At the time, Tesla was in a precarious financial situation, and I was told by the banks that if I did not agree to settle with the SEC, that the banks would cease providing working capital and Tesla would go bankrupt immediately. So that's like having a gun to your child's head. So I was forced to concede to the SEC unlawfully, those bastards. And now that they it makes it look like I lied when I did not in fact lie. I was forced to admit that I lied to save Tesla's life, and that's the only reason. Given what.
Right, I mean, man, you guys know how I feel about the SEC, but like, wow, they're a bunch of rat bastards, aren't they? Like, no shame in their game, dude. Unbelievable. And it's just good to finally hear the full story of that whole thing, because I think it was an interview we did with 60 Minutes when he said, I have no respect for the SEC. I repeat, I have no respect for the SEC. And there you go. They basically put a gun to his head, to his kid's head, he basically said, because, Tesla was his child. He put all his blood, sweat, and tears, all his money into it. And basically it's all on the line there. And the banks are like, if you don't, make this deal with the SEC, we're going to put you out of business. We're not going to give you any money to back your company. I mean, it's unbelievable how the FCC uses this this bully tactic, and what we're doing with the library, especially, that's just sickening to hear, right? And John Deaton had a great thing when he said about this quote that Elon Musk gave here. He said, Congress needs to redefine the SEC's role in our financial markets. It has become a cesspool of corruption. If it can bully one of the most powerful people on the planet, imagine what it does to ordinary people and companies. Exactly, right? If it can do that to literally one of the most powerful people in the world, then, look how it's treating LBRY, a small little, crypto company. They just bully around. They're the bullies in the government agencies. That's what they do. And like I said in a past video, it's just good to see, Ripple putting up the fight and actually, putting the SEC in their place, right? I really don't think they're used to it. I mean, I could tell you right now, they're not used to it. They're used to getting their way. They're used to bullying, companies and people, into giving them a settlement and giving them what they want, right? But Ripple, and the SEC is not doing good, backed into a corner here. They look like a bunch of idiots in this lawsuit against Ripple. I mean, it is totally a shit show for the SEC in this battle. It's amazing that they keep dragging this thing out, because they are making themselves look like a bunch of idiots, and they're showing the world right now how corrupt and how much basically, blatantly corrupt, but also blatantly not caring that they're being shown to be so corrupt. That's the worst part of it. You're right. They don't care. They still don't care. They're going to keep on doing what they're doing, even though, and because who's going to stop them? Who will stop them? Will Congress do it? They haven't shown anything thus far. They keep talking about this, talking a big game, but you've heard no one talk about an investigation in the SEC. And until you hear that, they can talk all they want about, holding Gary Gensler accountable, and we'll have hearings questioning Gary Gensler. I think it's all BS until something, some type of action is actually, happens, right? Until an investigation happens, I just don't believe anything these politicians say. And why should we, right? Why should we? So the last thing let's end it on a good note here. I don't even know if this is kind of a good note. So IMF, DeFi is at the frontier of financial technology. IMF is now saying this. I mean, we all knew this, but now the IMF has to, bow down to that. DeFi is at the frontier of financial technology. And just recently, I don't have the clip up, but just recently, the SEC basically, I think it was Celsius, right? Celsius Network. The SEC basically forced Celsius to stop offering their lending product or their DeFi products, right? You can't earn on Celsius anymore. You can earn only if you're rich. If you're a accredited investor, yeah, you can earn a 6 to 8% on your crypto. But if you're not, if you're poor, if you don't have $1 million in the bank, whatever it is, you can't earn on your crypto. Sorry, that's for banks only, right? It's only up for banks to for your money. We can't be having ordinary people making money outside of banks, right? You got to put your money in the bank so the banks can use it and make money, and you can basically get your measly 0.05% of whatever they give you. I mean, DeFi is definitely at the frontier of financial technology, and even the IMF is, saying it now, right? And the SEC and government and banks will try to stop this from happening, and they're doing a damn good job of doing it, obviously, but they can only do it for so long, right? They can delay this. They can, just like the SEC is delaying in the case against Ripple, they can delay this technology from coming out. But when people, they know that people want to use this, right? So they can try to hold this back, but sooner or later, banks will have to bow down or somehow create their own DeFi products and let people, the ordinary people out there, if you're not an accredited investor, right? Ordinary people, make money with their money. They love keeping us down. They love keeping us poor. That's their biggest job in life, is to keep us broke and to keep funneling that money into their pockets. And until that stops, they'll continue to do this bullshit, right? To basically say that only rich people can make money in this country. You got to be an accredited investor to make money in this country. So I'll end the video there, guys. Just remember, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. But remember, I'm not a financial advisor. Please do not take anything I write or say as financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. And thanks, guys, and we will see you on the next one.